Mane fa say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
Okujetu ablakwa ede ensembi atudwa eha eye PENDREAM TV. Subscribe to channel no, like na comment. Share jumadi no na ma afoforo ensa enkabi. Ensembe na okujetu ablakwa ede atudwa. Jebre na kame ho na yenti ne nsem no enchiremu.
So you see, Honorable Asifua is refusing to learn.
What do you mean?
He's refusing to change ways. These are the reasons why the Ghanaian people humiliated them at the polls. Anytime we have to fight corruption, then you hear the MPP. Oh, this is not legal. Oh, we don't see it in the constitution. I mean,
no, but it's legitimate to raise the legal issues, isn't it?
How? Can this committee, a transitional arrangement during a transition period, carrying out preparatory works, just receiving evidence, which will be presented to institutions to work on, to investigate, to prosecute, and to ensure there are sanctions? How does that affect the fight against corruption? And why should it worry anybody?
I never said that.
To the extent that they are even now, and you see the same attitude which has brought us here, the same attitude which made corruption such a canker, which made this country drown in corruption. What is wrong with the president-elect saying that I want to hit the ground running? I want the Ghanaian people to know that when I promised oral, Operation Recover All Loot, it is such a priority. He is setting up other transitional subcommittees. He wants the Ghanaian people to know that oral is such a major plank. That is why he put it even in his first 120 days. And you know, it's not only oral in there. He also says that he is going to lead legal reforms to prohibit political appointees and politically exposed persons from purchasing state assets. He also says that he's going to lead efforts. He will call it a National Constitutional Review Validation Conference. It's all in the manifesto. He's been talking about it.
I see.
Now, let me ask Honorable Asifua. When we all applauded his boss, our outgoing President Akufo-Addo, when he said he will use the ANAS principle, he should show us where in the Constitution you have ANAS principle.
He didn't set a committee.
Presidents.
He didn't set a committee to that
Well,
effect.
but he indicated he was going to use the mechanism.
So that is
President Akufo-Addo, President Akufo-Addo, please, it's my let me conclude. Let me conclude.
Done that surreptitiously.
Let me conclude.
Hold on, gentlemen.
Look, corruption.
Hold on.
It's risky.
You make your point. Yes.
You don't fight corruption with more opacity, with surreptitious and, if you like, under the carpet dealings. Corruption is fought openly, and you must show the political will. And from day one, the president-elect is hitting the ground running. I come back to the ANAS principle, which we all applauded. You won't find it in any legal provision. When President Akufo-Addo set up the committee to probe, right when he took office, to probe the special audit committee, which was, according to them, also to expose inflated contracts and all of that, which are corruption-related matters. Who opposed it? Look, if you have nothing to hide, read Article 41F of our Constitution. All of us as citizens are enjoined, Article 41F, to consciously fight against the abuse of state resources, the misuse of resources, fight corruption. All of us, all of us are citizens. And this does not violate any law. As he's been speaking, I was really waiting to hear any provision of our law which has been flouted by the president. He has not been able to provide it. Not one. So there is absolutely nothing wrong about a new president showing such great commitment, a master stroke, as Martin Kpebu has said, within a very open framework. Everybody should come. present your evidence, it's being coordinated, and you see the advantage. During this transition, have we all not been concerned about some people trying to take the law into their own hands? This is even helping to stop the impunity, where people who are very angry that you have a president who was shielding corrupt officials who took no action, and they want to take the law into their own hands. Now they can see that, look, the new president means business. He didn't just say these things to win power and abandon the corruption fight. So he says that preparatory works. Yeah. So come and present. We have a coordinating team. We respect our institutions. We are not usurping any institutional mandate. When the evidence, all the petitions have been put together, it is presented to the various institutions. The Attorney General, who then have been appointed, will take it up from there. So, I mean, I don't see why people are, but, well, you can understand. I mean, we've had the most corrupt regime in the history of this country. So any effort to fight corruption, they get jittery. They get totally, worried. They go berserk. And that's what is happening. Well,
so the questions that have been asked, you're providing answers. I think that the most important aspect of this development is that there are questions being asked about why there has to be oral in the first place and the justification for it. Okay, that's the important aspect of the issues Mr. Asafua raises as well. But why the Operation Recover All Loot? Really, let's get into that.
Yes.
What is this all about?
Yes. So I've prepared this PowerPoint presentation to deal with that. I mean, there are legitimate questions being asked. Why oral? And we need to really deal with that matter and deal with it very, very well. So President Mahama, the president-elect, made Operation Recover All Loot a major plank of his anti-corruption agenda. Look, if you look at all the polls, all the surveys, corruption was a major issue to the electorate. They wanted corruption uprooted and dealt with. And they voted for a leader who put forward the most far-reaching anti-corruption measures. The most far-reaching. You will not find this in the MPP manifesto. You won't find it in other manifestos. Indeed, they were creating a very conducive atmosphere for corruption to thrive. All of them were neck deep, create loot and share. It was a free for all. So President Mahama says that, look, Operation Recover All Loot. Now, ORA has 3 strategies. ORA will be investigating corruption cases, establishing a specialized task force to scrutinize suspected corruption cases under the previous administration. Then it will also carry out recovery of misappropriated state resources. It will prioritize the retrieval of state funds, the properties, state assets, and rechannel them for national development. Then it will also prosecute offenders, committing to prosecuting individuals or entities found guilty of embezzling public resources. So this is the broader vision of President Mahama's oral agenda. Now let's come to this team. Now this team...
There's a question about your
mandate. Yes, this team, our mandate is simple. It's just a preparatory framework. The president doesn't want the Ghanaian people to think that, oh, it was just a platform talk. You know, in this country, it's platform talk.
It's one thing it was corruption,
yes, and the president, please, let's conclude.
I'll come to you.
So the president is saying that, look, from day one, I want to hit the ground running within this transitional period. So this is a preparatory framework towards President Mahama taking off with his anti-corruption drive. And he says that, look, your mandate is simple. Just gather the evidence. Just collect the evidence from the people. And that is why yesterday we put out the interactive platforms. 0800 900 111. That's a toll-free number. And will you believe we've received over 400?
Just within one day?
Within one day, over 400 cases with documents, evidence attached.
Via the toll-free?
The toll-free.
0800
0800 900 111.
You've received 400?
Over 400.
Over 400?
Yes, I think it was 415. You know, as when we had a meeting yesterday.
In a day?
Yes, in a day. And then we also have the website www.oralgh.org, And then the email, those who are using email is public.
So you receive some emails.
Yes, we receive emails. Yeah,
and some
yes
information via your website.
Exactly, and which we are processing. We looked at the analytics, yesterday. So the email is public@oralgh.org. So oralgh.org is the website. Public@oralgh.org is the email address, and then the toll-free number is 0800 900 111.
I see.
And it's such a beehive of activity.
So what's the duration? No, let me deal with this. What's the duration of your committee's work? So
very limited duration within this transition period until such a time that the Attorney General is appointed. So you remember President Mahama said that within 14 days he will announce his cabinet, and then it will go to Parliament for the necessary vetting, approval. As soon as the Attorney General takes office, we'll present our report. So it's a very limited, narrow.
Just about a month.
Yes, I mean, yeah, just about a month.
Okay.
And then the Attorney General would do the sifting, the sorting out. Which one he will handle himself? Those that will go to OSP, EOCO, CID, and what have you. Now, we all know that over the last 8 years, the Corruption Perception Index indicates that President Akufo-Addo's best performance is President Mahama's worst performance. We have just been on the decline, and the CPI is very clear.
No, that's yes.
Then you look at the Auditor General's report. In 2023 alone, this country lost 8.8 billion Ghana cedis. And the Auditor General made a significant observation that, look, most of these irregularities, these infractions, these corrupt cases are recoverable. That is what the Auditor General said. He said they are recoverable. So this justifies Operation Recover All Loot. The 8.8 billion loss in just 1 year,
can be recovered.
Last year, can be recovered. It's in the 2023 Auditor General's report. Now, let's come to what was the climate. And I have listed here just 30 of the scandals that rocked this country. That, I mean, as we speak, we are still in shock. You remember the banking sector cleanup? Eventually, we got to know that over 25 billion Ghana cedis was spent. And yet, after spending that 25 billion Ghana cedis on a problem which independent analysis revealed that we should not have spent more than 12 billion, we still have people who have not been paid, people who have not had access to their savings in these banks. And even how it was done, the opacity, the favoritism and all of that. This is a matter which is worth investigating. We must go into that. 25 billion Ghana cedis. Imagine what it can do for our country. You know, then you remember the luxurious presidential private jet travels, which are exposed. We have in this country a presidential jet in pristine condition, ordered by President Kufuor, arrived during President Mills's tenure. He used it without complaining. President Mahama used it without complaining. Suddenly, Akufo-Addo comes to power and he says that it's not luxurious enough. And you remember all my questions in Parliament. They refused to respond. When the National Security Minister came, he said, oh, look, these are national security matters. We still don't know, you know, who the contractors were, how it was procured, the procurement processes and all of that. And from the tracking that I did, over 100 million Ghana cedis was spent on that really ostentatious, extravagant, profligate, sybaritic, adventure.
Spent on the presidential
so that is a matter that we must go into.
This 239,000 euros is the cost of the aircraft BBJ3 that was bought for the presidency.
Yes, no. This is the private jet, which was used. That was his favorite one. The BBJ3.
And it cost how much? 239,000 euros.
For an hour.
For an hour.
For an hour, yes. That's how the taxpayer was saddled. Yes, an hour. Yeah.
I see.
Then you have the infamous National Cathedral, $58 million. Ghanaians are asking questions. $58 million, and all we see is that sinkhole, the world's most expensive pit. At the time, the exchange rate, over 339 million Ghana cedis. Ghanaians are asking questions. And remember that there is now a Shraj report after my complaint. Shraj confirming that this whole project is illegal. Read page 152, 153 of the Shraj report, saying that this whole project should be stopped immediately. It's illegal. There has to be a forensic audit. We must retrieve our monies. So nobody can say we don't have justification in this country for aura. $58 million. Imagine what $58 million can do. Then, this $58 million, you have somebody like Carrie Summers, who is cooling off in America, keeping her $6 million. He said he was going to raise funds for the National Cathedral project. This doesn't happen anywhere.
How much funds has he raised?
Nothing. And yet, yes. And you see, what happens in the industry is that when you raise the funds, then you are given a commission. It's only under the Akufo-Addo government that he was giving money upfront to go raise the funds.
He has not raised.
He hasn't raised anything. They came to Parliament. We asked them to account and tell us all of what has come in.
So what was he paid the $6 million
to go raise funds? He says he's the CEO of the Nehemiah Group.
No. Okay.
So all of those monies have to be retrieved. We need to recover all of that. Then the inflationary pricing with David Ajay. And you see David Ajay suddenly under the Akufo-Addo government. You remember the architects of our country had to come to, all of them wrote a petition that, why? Since you came into office, everything David Ajay, everything. And he's so expensive too. And a lot of times he's just single-sourced. National Cathedral, he was single-sourced under emergency provisions. Abuse of the procurement law. So David Ajay alone, National Cathedral, the Marine Drive project, the Trade Fair project, Du Bois Center project, the new chambers, that's Professor Okoye wanted to do. It was him, everything him. So all architects of Ghana wrote a petition. That why? So now Ghana has only one architect. So all that inflationary pricing, extortionist pricing which he engaged in, questions have to be asked. The abuse of the procurement laws. So National Cathedral is a can of worms. Look, and what makes matters worse, still on National Cathedral, are you aware that as we speak, 32 months now, the National Cathedral Secretariat, they are still receiving salaries. And we intercepted evidence from the payroll system of our country. Even as we speak, if we don't stop them, end of December, the National Cathedral Secretariat will still receive their salaries.
Their response and defense.
And so far, over 2.2 million Ghana cedis has been paid to just 3 people at the National Cathedral Secretariat, and there are more workers.
Well, Reverend Dr. Joyce Ayi says the fact that there's no construction going on doesn't mean that there's no work going on at the Secretariat. They have to be paid. You heard that response, didn't you?
And you see, their impunity. That is why they've suffered this humiliating. You know, she was a member of the campaign to Obama's campaign. I'm not surprised.
Was a member?
Yes, you didn't see the list. She was on the advisory group. Okay. You know, and I'm not surprised that the Ghanaian people have punished them that way. Who, if you are using your private resources to do a construction, and you come into some difficulty, you suspend the project, will you keep paying the workers at the site? Will you keep paying them?
It says it's a contract. You know, Mr. Sefor says it's contractual. There's a contract in place. So.
There's no contract.
In labor law, you can.
These are secretary staff, political appointees.
Okay.
Political appointees just engaged. They should have been laid off.
I see.
You know.
Let's.
Then you have the almighty $108 million ambulance scandal. We have a lot of retrievals to do here. This involves the president's daughter's business partners. And of course, the president's daughter's, baby daddy as well. A day before Ken Ofori-Atta left office, you remember that I intercepted documents where he had authorized the release of $10 million, and that's the letter. So we are not talking about conjecture, concoctions, fabrications. That is the letter. I mean, nobody has questioned the authenticity. It is unimpeachable. Now, this $108 million, when you look at the breakdown, it includes the inflation of the ambulances, which didn't follow proper procurement processes. You have a situation where The servicing contract, if you read the Auditor General's report, they gave it to these companies that were hurriedly put together, the Stephen Okoro gang, before even their companies were incorporated. Can you believe that? And then, after that, they requested for another $34.9 million, which Opreratiộn was about to pay, ordered an initial $10 million release, which we had to intercept and block. And again, when you talk about the OSP and how, you know, that institution must be totally overhauled, more than 7 months since my petition. Ask me, what's going on? What is going on?
You
so
petitioned the OSP
on this matter.
On this matter.
On this matter. And,
okay.
and rather, what is happening is that the key architects have been allowed to leave the jurisdiction.
I read this and I wanted to authenticate it from you, that you're saying that as far as you do know, the persons behind this ambulance case have left the country.
They've left the country. They left on the 26th and 27th of November. Three of them, three key architects. Stephen Okoro, you know, the business partner. Remember that he, together with Jankroma Akufo-Addo, Edwina Akufo-Addo, formed Good Grow Company, formed the SFO Company Limited, and other companies, conglomerate of companies. Most of them formed when the president came into office. They have fled. Stephen Okoro, Frank Ajekum, and then Vivian Oponchecheku.
But if there's
but fortunately, you've been monitoring the engagement with the diplomatic community. All of them are pledging their support for ORA. You heard the UN team. You've heard other diplomats. They're saying that, look, they will give us all the international collaboration that we need. So those who think that they are running out, look, this country now is this world now is a very small village. You will be found out. So I don't think that running away will save anybody. You know, then you have the Sputnik V vaccine. This is another one that really, I mean, just X me. It's just, I mean, so annoying that we have a Russian embassy here. The health minister decided to go deal with some sheikhs from Dubai who had no link with the Russians, who are the producers of the Sputnik V vaccine, the manufacturers of the Sputnik V vaccine. We met the ambassador who said, look, we have not been contacted. And as we speak, we have lost $2.8 million. There's a parliamentary committee's report, bipartisan, where both sides of the House concluded that Ghana has been swindled by these shonky sheikhs and that the $2.8 million have to be retrieved. You remember the health minister?
Yeah, well,
there was a public inquiry. Yes, he said he wasn't in the right frame of mind. So, and tell me that Ghana doesn't need oral. You know what $2.8 million can do? So we have to go after them, and we have to retrieve the $2.8 million. Then you have the COVID expenditure, 21.3 billion. The Auditor General's report. The Auditor General is saying that there were so many diversions, total mismanagement of the COVID-19 funds. We clearly have to retrieve. You remember the MPP functionaries, that the executive in the North, who publicly said that, look, they were just sharing the COVID funds. You remember the audit report on... Felicia Tete. Parliamentary candidate.
They gave, but she lost.
You know, it's good she lost. You know, she publicly said they were sharing it like confetti. You saw what happened at the Ministry of Information. You know, so a damning Auditor General's report. And you think that a government that has been told that, look, we want our monies back, that's why we are voting for you, they shouldn't pursue this and retrieve these funds and rechannel it towards the construction of our country? So 21.3 billion. Look at the staggering amounts we are talking about.
But you see,
then,
my challenge, and we'll come to it. My challenge is that when this was flagged, this is in the 2021-2022 Auditor General's report. What has been the challenge in retrieving this money? Because when it comes to Auditor Generals over time, you capture a lot of, you know, financial infractions in the report, and it ends there. Public Accounts Committee will sit, we'll all cry about it, and we don't see any retrievals. It doesn't. It goes beyond the last 8 years.
Brilliant question. Are you aware? The Public Account Committee chairman revealed this a few weeks ago, that throughout his tenure, the Honorable James Aveje, that respected, accountant and chair of the Public Account Committee, he's done a yeoman's job for our country. I don't think we have celebrated him enough. He says that all their reports, not one has received the attention of the Attorney General throughout the 8-year period. Not one. Can you believe that? Because it's the Attorney General who must prosecute. They are not interested. They are not interested. That is why the Ghanaian people have voted overwhelmingly in such an emphatic manner for President-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to come and retrieve our funds and tell me that we don't need oral, that this country doesn't need oral. Is the most defining and consequential provision in the manifesto of the NDC.
Let's look at this.
Then you have the very scandalous Frontiers Healthcare Services COVID-19 airport testing thing. You remember the conservative analysis we have done. They raked in over $130 million. Over $130 million. Now remember that at the vetting of the health minister, he conceded, the Honorable Ajimamenu, that they allowed Frontiers, this company owned by a Nigerian Benedict Peters, who is the mastermind of this whole thing, and what their Nigerian collaborators have done to Ghana. There's Benedict Peters, there's Philip Olaya, Stephen Okoro, and the rest. So Frontiers, the health minister admitted that they didn't even have the license from EFRA. And yet they were allowed. And these are people going to collect.
That's the regulator for the health.
The regulator for the, yes.
So they didn't have.
They didn't have a license.
How were they providing this testing service?
Because they once, under the Akufo-Addo government, once you are connected, once you have presidential cover, you can do whatever you want. Impunity.
So how did this end?
And this, after many months, you remember how they ignored our parliamentary questions? All the ministers were running away from them. They didn't want to, respond to our questions. Eventually, we did an RTI, and we found out that every $150 that Frontiers charged, Ghana was giving only $10. Can you believe that? Can you believe that?
No, so $150.
Yes. You didn't build the airport.
Yeah, the Kasai Ebetiha, Mekao, a PENDREAM TV. Subscribe to channel no, like and comment. Share Jumadi no nama afofro ensa enkabi.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.